New Light Streaming Love, Conscious Conversation Central, Sassy Seer Sheila, because this will appear on all three of those places. You, we've got the New Light Streaming Love team here today. Chris J and Lisa Flamino Rush. Thank you, ladies, for joining me today.
Thank you.
I really,
It's a good
there's been
one.
at least one other time we started having the conversation, and I really, I know Lisa and I have had this conversation a couple of times over the years. And being the time of year it is, I thought it would
Mhm.
be a pretty cool one to have now. For
Mhm.
those that might be seeing this, oh wow, it's 12:12 right now as far as the time is concerned, but it is December 5th, 2023 at the time of this recording. And my one and only child is now 40, over 40 years old. I think he's 41 this year. He will be in December. And I never liked the idea of lying to my kid about Santa Claus. I never did like that. But I also didn't want to spoil it for him. And so I just kind of went along with it, you know, and and I'll say this, I really didn't have as much problem when he was little as I did once he went to school, and he actually asked me the question. And because he had become really ill, and he had scarlet fever one year,
Mm.
and I was a single parent, so I had to stay at home with him a lot, and I missed a lot of time at work, so there was no money at Christmas time. And my coworkers got together and put together this huge Santa's toy sack of toys that they all brought to work for him. And one of the ladies that I supervised in my department, her husband used to play Santa for his fire department. And so lo and behold, one evening I get a knock on the door, and there's Santa with this big bag of toys for my child. And, he had been really upset because he hadn't gone to school and it was his birthday coming soon. And Santa came in the house and talked to him about making sure to take his medicine and drink his juice. And I mean, I have all kinds of pictures because his little cheeks were so red from the scarlet fever. And he was just like so surprised to see Santa. It was like, I didn't really have to answer the question because I opened the door and there was Santa, right? I had to answer the question a little later, of course, but that year he was telling everybody he knew, oh, yes, Santa's real. He came to my house and talked to me special and all that kind of stuff. So I was sort of, that was a real, because, that is something that they will remember. And then later on, I don't know. And it could also be that that's part of what happened for me waking up for my own self to realize eventually that Santa wasn't real. And oh, wait a minute, not everything I'm told is true. And so I don't know. I have really mixed feelings about this, but over the years, I've had a chance to speak with a couple of folks, and I love the way Lisa in particular handled hers, but I also asked you too, Crystal. So whichever you guys, I would love for actually, Crystal, if you don't mind, because Lisa, yours is already grown as well.
Right. Yeah, I want to know how people are dealing with it currently. I'm very curious about that.
Right. Me
Yeah.
too.
Well, for me, for years, it quite frankly would piss me off. Just being honest with the whole Santa Claus thing. Like it really, really, really used to get up under my skin.
Hmm.
Um, but you mentioned a good point about the children remembering stuff like that because I had a flash of like my grandpa. They had this old Snoopy phone, and every Christmas, I don't know where he would go because cell phones wasn't a thing back then. I don't
Right.
know where he would go to call my grandma's house. I don't know if he'd go up to my parents' house or what. I don't know how he pulled this off. But every year he would call me on that Snoopy phone and as Santa Claus, and we would sit there and talk. So that's a really cool memory that I have. And we do remember stuff like that, even like, putting the Christmas tree together. My grandparents, they're just the hugest Christmas, folly lolly lollers that there is. And as I got older, and of course I had my oldest daughter who's about to be 17, I played into it. But the one thing that I never could bring myself to do was to say things like, you better go to bed or Santa Claus won't come. You better be good or Santa Claus won't come. But I would hear like my family say those things to her, and I just, I just was screaming inside, stop that lying to my child.
Right.
It's the lie that I couldn't understand and you couldn't, deal with. And so, as we've gone through this process, and now I have my youngest child, she's 6, about to be 7. And each year this time rolls around and I'm like, I just want to do, every year I've kind of mentioned it, or threw it out there or started kind of swirling with the thoughts of like starting new traditions that actually mean something to us. I don't follow by the Christian faith, so that's not the meaning for me. I don't believe in the corporate commercial Santa Claus thing, so that's not the meaning to me. So, each year I've tried to create my own traditions that would mean something to me, something to my family. And this year, I mentioned it again to the whole family, and my oldest daughter popped in and she was like, hey, why don't we do something like have a big cook off? Because we're into cooking really big now, we're, cooking from other countries, and we're trying other food and other recipes and diving into other cultures, and, just learning all about people around the world, getting outside of the, American mindset, I guess. And so she was like, why don't we have a cook off? You like somebody, we all just cook the main course, and then everybody pick like 2 sides from whatever country you want to, and do that, and then we'll have like the people that are eating to judge the food. So that's one of the things that we're doing, just creating something fun to do with it, making memories in that way. So yeah, we really found that one thing that's going to be our tradition yet, but we're trying.
Well, I love that. You brought up something that I think is super important to this conversation right there, Crystal, with the considering what is important to you to make traditions, because Sheila was talking about the importance of these memories and traditions, and I understand the role that that plays, and it is an important one. But also, I think it's super important that we do exactly what you're doing, Crystal, right now, is to sort of self-evaluate what we're doing and why.
Wow.
And
Yep.
creating our own why sounds absolutely delicious. And then the what comes just sort of naturally out of that.
Yep.
That's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I really love what you have going on there. Boy, that makes me feel really inspired. It really does. We kind of did the same thing with Thanksgiving around here. We all just said, I don't feel like going down and hunting down my, proverbial turkey and, all trotting out the same old sides. Trotting. Anyway, I just didn't want to participate in the same way, but yet I also value gratitude and thankfulness. And, I can get behind taking a day where we just stop everything to really contemplate what you're grateful for. And so we created our own meal based upon how we're feeling right now and what feels nourishing right now. And so I think this is the time, for creating new traditions.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. I've been following a gentleman in Missouri um, who is homesteading and is very much in touch with his Celtic roots, which I have Celtic roots as well. Last year during a particular season, I think it was Celtic History Month or something. It felt like that to me. Um, he was posting a lot about the traditions of the Celts, and so I was feeling very much like what you were saying there, Crystal. I've never. I'm 62. My son's 41. We don't really know our roots and what those traditions were,
Yeah.
and much less what they could be. And I have been looking into, because it is sort of the Viking, the Celt, and it is a little, hey, from what I understand about Christmas, is it's an amalgamation of a lot of different things. There's some pagan thrown in there from the Celts and the, original, right? And there's the Christmas is Christ Mass. I mean, that's the whole part of that, which is, believe me, some folks don't look too deeply into what all that was amalgamated together and the why,
Right.
which is exactly why I know that the three of us feel to sort of move away from the corporate generated, I got you a gift, what'd you get me kind of thing, because that's just not a really good reason, because it's this time of year or whatever. But um yeah, so this is really a larger than how we handle Christmas with the little ones, which I was very intrigued by, especially with the way Lisa handled it for herself, because she has a very, very unique, even for her own self, take on Christmas, which we're going to get to there. But I'm so glad that you both brought that forward about there's not anything at all wrong with, like you said, Lisa, reevaluating what are we doing and why, and not throwing out the baby with the bathwater. This
Yeah.
is a lovely time of year where just because some believe in a particular way, in some cases, everybody's a little bit nicer. Wouldn't it be something if everybody was a little bit nicer all the time? But hey, right? So, but finding each's own way for themselves, I highly advocate. Lisa, when you and I first were comparing, because we have so much in common in our childhood history and coming up, um, the way you handled this for yourself, if you don't mind going into it, because
Sure.
I'm in awe of the way that you addressed this for yourself, and then also for your little one.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say I did the same thing Crystal did. I felt uncomfortable with the lie, and I had to come to terms with how much of the shenanigans do I wish to participate in what way, what would make me feel okay about.
Yeah, and in your particular case, you didn't have the same kind of
No,
celebratory childhood that Crystal and
no,
I had.
I did
Because
not. Being raised as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, we have no traditions to speak of when it comes to holidays. Well, our tradition was to boycott all the holidays. So
right.
I had none of that. And there were parts of my inner child that felt like I'd missed out on a lot of fun and exciting things that the whole world participated in, but not me. And I didn't want to, that's not what I wish to hand down to Jasmine. So, and also, like, I had some cousins who they were not really into the truth, is what we called it back then. Isn't that ironic?
Yeah. Well, I think they still call it the truth.
Yes, they
But
do. Which is just comedy, so I had to throw that in there.
right.
They didn't come to meetings, they didn't study the Bible, they did not go knocking on doors, proselytizing. So for my cousins, all they had was the boycotting of holidays, because that's how their parents chose. My aunt and uncle just chose to sort of ignore it and not participate in anything, not religion and not holidays. And so it was confusing to them, my cousins, because they didn't understand fully what was the whaty what, like, why are we boycotting everything? And so I always had this, well, I felt comfortable that I knew why. And I understood it. Like, it made sense to me. I was buying into the propaganda of the belief system itself. And
Right.
so I had that, and I couldn't, so I didn't want to put my daughter in the same scenario as my cousins and just boycott it and ignore it and be angry at it, because honestly, for years I felt angry at it. So I thought it was a beautiful thing when I was missing out on it. And then when I let the religion go, I decided to participate in the holidays. And they were quite hollow. It left me feeling worse than not participating, if that's even a thing. I mean, that's how I felt, worse.
Honestly, I
Now
would be
that I was
willing to bet
participating.
that you are not the only being, and it doesn't only leave you, didn't leave you that. I would bet money, because hey, I recognize that feeling, and I wasn't a witness in any
It was
sort.
like a setup for torture, kind of, is how I experienced it. So by the time Jasmine came along, I was in a real conundrum because I didn't know how to proceed smartly. And at that time, I was really into Abraham Hicks, and I was reading all the books, and I was actively playing with the exercises that they were recommending. And it just kind of came to me when Abraham was describing sort of using the universe like my own personal assistant. And we were writing down what we'd like to happen, and then pretending that we were handing it off to our assistant, who boots on the ground, who would make it all happen. And I could just relax in that I have a capable assistant who will make these things happen. And I don't have to, once I've written it down and handed it off, my role there was finished, all but to experience what I had requested. So I had been playing around with this during this time. And I decided to take it into deep meditation because I was just really feeling into the holidays. And if there was anything within any of it that I felt validated any of my own personal truths, or that felt right to me. So I was just exploring sort of how I felt about different things, because I knew what I didn't like. I was real clear on that. And you know, Crystal hit all of them. The big lie, the propaganda to just buy. People were going into debt back then like crazy, because then, you know, we were commiserating with each other about how all year long we got to pay back the shenanigans, you know. And it I don't know, it didn't feel like a good thing to participate in. So I had to ask myself if any of this was good for me. And the one thing, because I wanted that beautiful memory for Jasmine of some family traditions that gave her life meaning right? Because that's what I thought everyone was experiencing with the holidays. So I thought, okay, so nobody's really experiencing that, but I think it's possible to experience that. So if I were to create it, what would it look like? And so I just kind of made a list of things that were important to me, like the childhood memories I wanted to have um, together with Jasmine, so that when she reflected upon them, I wanted them to empower her. I wanted them to make her feel loved, valued, and appreciated. You know, I wanted her life to feel magical and extremely special. And, you know, I wanted her also to feel as though she had a role in it. So not only is she loved, valued, and treasured, but I wanted to teach her how to love, value, and treasure others. So I just kind of made a list of the values that I wanted to use this holiday to instill and to perpetrate is coming to my mind, but to perpetuate going forward as a personal family tradition. So I think that's what I would recommend if I were to say, you know, if someone were to ask me, well, so how do you handle the big lie and all the things that make us feel uncomfortable about Christmas? And I would say, do that. Go within and decide what it means to you and what you wish to accomplish or get from it, from the experience, and then design the experience so that it fulfills, meets, ticks all the boxes, right? And provides you with the experience that you wish to experience. You know, replace the negative one with something of your own design that feels positive. And then I'll just share with you now what I did. So I realized I caught myself in the act of trying to manifest this Christmas gift. I had something specific that I had wanted to gift Jasmine. And again, I called it Christmas or the holidays. I would, you know, happy holidays. Back then I wasn't so much Christmas centric, but I celebrated that we are all humanity, because if you look across the board, most religions had something to celebrate during this period of time of the winter solstice, if you will.
Which is kind of why I feel like for me, I want to go to my Celtic roots because
Yes,
it's all the Yuletide is all tied to the time of what is happening on the earth, or at least in that particular area where it
sure.
originated, right? And it
Right,
is
right.
very tied to the solstice.
Yeah. And I think now that I understand more of that, because back then I didn't really have any of that on board, but now I can see where my desire to participate with what is good in the world and grow and perpetuate that, I can now see that the roots of these things were good. Like it was celebrating the natural progression of how things, nature, how things work here, like honoring and being grateful for that and celebrating that.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's a beautiful way to do it. So I was using these Abraham Hicks tools because I had divined for myself how I wanted to handle certain things. Like I liked the evergreen tree. I loved the lights and the creating a magical atmosphere. Like there were parts of the holiday that I just picked and chose. And it would change throughout the years of celebrating. So, because I integrate something and go, I'm not feeling this anymore, and just let it go the next. And it just sort of morphed and grew into, well, now I really don't do much of anything as far as, you know, decorating and gift giving is concerned. but I let it be just an organic how I'm feeling today and honoring that and rolling with that. And I think that's the most important piece for me. So at that time, I was trying to buy a gift, and like Daddy and I agreed, we weren't going to make Santa so special that he had the most expensive gift. We didn't want to do that. It would be more the simple, heartfelt gift from Santa, because I wanted to hold Santa as a figure of universal love, if you will, and the magic that comes from that. And I could see what I was doing with the Abraham Hicks thing as I was writing down what I wanted, right? And then handing it off to my assistant. And one day I just saw my assistant as Santa. And so when it was time, because we celebrated Christmas before I actually had the talk with Jasmine about who is Santa and what is that. So I just kind of built it. Like I didn't gift wrap Santa gifts. They just appeared. And that was to represent how the universe brings you what you need when you need it. And so I didn't have to use words and explain that to her. I just sort of embodied that. I did what felt comfortable to me. And we were playing games already where we were feeding the fairies in the yard, because I wanted her to have an understanding that fairies are real and they live just out of phase. And sometimes you can see them if they want to be seen. And we would leave fresh fruit in the yard for them. And it was a way for me to help Jasmine realize we're a part of something larger than ourselves, and to honor that, to give back. So I was playing in that realm. So I decided that Santa's elves were fairies, and and the reindeer. And so we made it a point the night before to sit outside and to commune with the fairies, and thank the reindeer for carrying Santa's sleigh and feeding them, leaving our carrots and whatnot, as a way to instill for me, you're a part of something larger, and it's very important to acknowledge those things. And I was working with what I knew and understood at that moment. So like I said, it has morphed and changed. And I think that's an important piece too, because I don't want my traditions to become something I'm locked into, because as I grow and expand, I want my traditions to grow and expand and reflect my growth.
Right.
And that has been a beautiful thing for me. So I saw that as a way to have the conversation when it was time. And of course, it did come up. The people at school were telling her that's all a lie and that's fake. And that really upset Jasmine, because she feels like her world is not a lie, and she's got a very important part in it, and that her mother doesn't lie to her. And I had a very strict policy against lying at the house. And so I explained to her that Santa is a representative of an energetic. And I allowed the image of Santa to be a way for her to connect. Just like the pictures that we would color of fairies weren't actual physical beings in our reality, but energetics or interdimensional beings that are real, and they do exist. And so I said that Santa represents the unconditional love of God, the universe, of all things. And when you engage with that, you are gifted thusly, and that you're loved. And I didn't also play up the if you're naughty or nice portions of it, because that didn't resonate with me. And so I just picked and chose, and I didn't rally at the things I didn't like. I just didn't engage in them. And so, when it was time to to have the conversation, I also then said, okay, so mom and dad have been helping the universe get these things to you. We've been participating by embodying the Santa energetic of unconditional love. And I said, so now that you know how this works, she was obligated to embody the Santa energetic and to let the universe work through her to gift to others. And then our Christmas focus began to more focus on helping others. And so we would adopt a family. We were participating in helping our direct community in ways that were age appropriate and, you know, budget appropriate, and also that felt empowering to me. So, you know, our level of participation in things varied from year to year, but the most important thing was that we were creating traditions that supported our value system. And then we were allowing our value system to grow as we did. And so that is how I handled Christmas.
Which, like I said, you know, it's one of the, well, okay, so having been exposed to Jasmine over these last, you know, 7 years now, almost full 7 years, that energetic that you instilled in her is there. Now, don't get me wrong, she got programming same as everybody else. You know, right? But a little less, you know, I'm going to be honest with you. And I don't know if it's partly a function of us being in this, you know, community, but more I've never seen a young person more willing to see their own behavior and you know, very much like what I feel like I'm doing, you know, see my programming as it rears its head, you know, that's
Yeah.
the way it feels to me. And I because I know you've told me this story and I was just like in awe, because boy, do I wish I had been present enough to you know, do that. Now I understand, you know, my way was completely meant to be different, and
Yeah.
it is, so I don't want anybody to get the
Right. We
idea,
should
but
not
it
be just mimics of one another.
no, exactly correct. And the way I handled it served whatever purpose it was meant to serve. That's not what this is about for me. This is always, and for some reason, this felt like a really good conversation to have in these moments of now, because I feel as though there are going to be, or there are right now, beings who struggle with this same sort of thing and aren't really sure. And this gives at least a few ways to look into it for self, you know. And I so love the fact that coming to, well, we all know how I've always felt about you know, any kind of rituals or anything like that, being the ones that are self-created are the most impactful. They, because you are
And powerful.
I cannot tell you how many times like Lisa and I make our own oils for things, and I just was willy-nilly putting stuff in there, and then I looked at it later and found out it was everything that I needed for something that had to do with skin, because I was following my intuition. So, you know, that relaxing into self and allowing all of what your values are to arise to the surface. I just love the way you did that, both
Yeah,
of you,
yes.
you know,
Because
creating those
then
new
came Easter and I had to deal with that one, and I just did the same thing, you know. And then summer came and it went from Santa to angels, because now we were still crafting things, writing love letters to people, wrapping them up and getting on the metro and bopping around the DC metropolitan area and leaving them. And it said, if you find this on the card, this is a gift from your what are those
Guardian angel?
Guardian angel. I couldn't think of the word guardian. And this is from your guardian angel, and it is for you. And then there was, I just would do a little write-up of love. And so and then we weren't Santa, we were guardian angels. But the point was to embody our value system and to put it in action out into the world, so that we felt the love of receiving the love letter from the guardian angel, and the love that it generated for us to participate in this activity of going out to the parks, going on the metro. We'd go into the mall. It's called the National Mall. The area in Washington, D.C., between the Capitol and the White House. And we would just leave these random gifts about for people. I want to say blowback, the ramifications of that activity were palpable. And so not only were we loving, but we were being loved. Like, just embodying love feels magical. It just is. And it engages the true portion of you. And you are magical. And you can put it any label on it that you wish to. So I just used everybody's labels to represent the one thing, the one love that I wanted to instill, that I want to embody, that I want to share with humanity. And it just made everything we're doing, no matter if it was cooking a meal for the family, learning how to do our laundry or clean our home, it all had the same purpose, was to love one another and to be loved. And so that way we had continuity in everything we were doing. And the labels didn't really matter, because in the end, when Jasmine thought about all of the holidays, she had the memories and the traditions of embodying love and walking out through the world as that love, being that love, doing that love. And that is what was really important to me. That's what I valued. That's why I wanted to participate in traditions, to increase that value within her and myself. And I still do those things, even though I might do them differently today than I did when she was very small. But we still engage in those same activities, because to me, that is what I value most. And so I would say, go within. What do you value? And make yourself traditions and rituals that help remind you of your values, and not just give homage or worship on Sunday to these values. Become the value and find things that you can do that grow that value within you.
Oh my gosh, I love that, Lisa.
Yeah, I think that's the real purpose of the holidays to begin with. And it got lost somewhere. Like you said, the roots of it are very, very good,
Yeah.
but they got spoiled along the way. So all we have to do is find the root, and the root is within you. You have it, you know what
Right.
you value, and then begin to grow that, to become that, make that special, celebrate you and your values.
That's how I kind of explained it to Quinley, because she did come out and ask me about it. And
Oh, okay. What did she say?
so she knows this year. There's
Okay. I love it.
Now, what was this question prior to the picture with the bicycles and the whole thing?
Yeah, this was like 3 months ago.
Oh, okay. So she was aware. Oh, how lovely.
Yeah.
She's already embodying
Yes.
the energetic of Santa in her own right. Yes. Oh, I love that.
Oh, that is so sweet. She is just all heart, isn't she? So
Yeah.
tell us about that conversation.
Well, I told her more about the history version of it,
Beautiful.
like, St. Nicholas, and how it started out as a good thing,
Right.
and how it just turned into this huge,
Mess.
blown out, greed, money, the whole purpose of giving and that spirit of that just got lost, in the
Right.
midst of all of that. And
Mhm.
yeah, maybe that's why she's,
Bringing it back.
yeah, yeah, she's got that energy kind of swirling around with her right now.
I
Um,
love that.
yeah, but I like the leaving, the guardian angel things out. I might have to copy that and come up with our
Yeah.
own thing. I like that. And I
Yeah,
think
we
about,
started that in the spring and we just, because we liked it so much, we kept it going all summer. It
yeah.
was really fun.
Yeah, like I've tried things from um like the winter solstice. I even tried like the Yule log one year. It just it didn't feel right for me. Last year, me, Quinley, Callista, and my sister Brittany, we all did a simmer pot, but like manifestation style. So like whatever we
Okay.
were throwing in there, we were setting our intentions for that. So
Okay.
that's really cool. And I do
Love
remember
that.
this. One of the things that Quinley had was throwing in, and I heard her say she wanted a puppy next year. Well, lo and behold, I mean, that actually happened.
Yes. And that's pure magic.
I didn't even
Yep.
think about that until now. Like, she really manifested that.
Yep. No, that's awesome.
So we
I
have to,
love that.
I
that's gonna have to be a thing this year too.
I love that idea. I actually
Mhm.
I love that idea because there's a lot of each's own intention in that, right?
Yeah,
It brings that focus and attention in, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and it smells
Um,
wonderful.
right, exactly. There's something else that I feel that was wanting to come forward here. Lisa and I were engaging in, there's a Santa series. Last year was the first year, and they came out with a second season of it. It's with Tim Allen, because he's the one that did Santa Claus movies,
Yeah.
and we learned in this season that this is the first time that the mythical beings that are the past Santas, who all gathered in the Yuleverse this year to discuss what was going on with this Santa, the current one, Tim Allen. We learned that this, with Tim Allen, is the first human Santa.
Hmm.
And his children, who were born at the North Pole, have powers. Now, I feel this is quite wonderful, because in terms of, because I also kind of feel like this is an energetic that's presenting itself for folks to take advantage of in a very real way, what Lisa is saying about embodying the love is magic. And the truth of who we are is that we're magic anyway. I mean, but with focus and attention, right? And I don't know, they're very interesting to me that, so this is, I don't know, we'll see where it's going, we've caught
Yeah,
up.
it's been a lot of fun, hasn't it? That series.
No, it really has. So it's on Disney Plus for anyone who is wondering about that. But yeah, it's kind of interesting, like I said, and by the way, I spoiler alert, if you are going to look at it, Mad Santa's coming for him.
Yeah.
Apparently, back in the Dark Ages, like I think it was 363 AD is what they said, if I'm not mistaken. Mad Santa went really, really mad. They showed it, but I don't know. It was very interesting to me how this is playing out, so we'll see how that goes. But I wanted to put that in there because it feels like the same sort of energetic. Who
Mhm.
who who you gonna embody? How you gonna embody and move from there? And there's we being, what I suspect of our being really, you might as well call it lensing mechanisms for divinity to express itself into this physical realm, the creation. Wow, we gotta, you know, I love this because it is that kind of thing that can be carried throughout. Thank you both for sharing so much today.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yes, this is wonderful. All right, so I hope everyone will come and visit us at www.knewlightstreaminglove.
I love your sign.
Yes, I made my sign, right? We
Mm-hmm.
are also on all those places. Thank you so much to Crystal. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, TikTok, Rumble, Instagram, and X. We're New Light Team on X, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it wouldn't do the whole thing. So we're New Light Team on X, but New Light Streaming Love everywhere else. You'll also be seeing this on Sassy C or Sheila, as that is my standalone YouTube. Are you putting this on Beyond Intuit?
No.
No? Okay. Well, and it will definitely be on Rumble, on Conscious Conversation Central, and on our New Light Streaming Love channel on Rumble as well. So thank you ladies so much.
You.
Thank you.
Yeah, till next time, I hope you will move towards that which brings you joy in each moment that presents itself to you. I think it is a matter of perspective, and we always have the right, by the way, to take a moment and check our perspective. Hey, could I shift my gaze a little bit and maybe see this car wreck from a different angle? Because, sometimes that's what it feels like, right?
Love you.